to look at issues of the green economy and how to maximize all energy sources to drive our economic growth. That was the way have to come together, or ought to come together, to maximize their knowledge and their experience in this sector. So, you have all got the press release, I believe. I have before me, on my immediate right, Minister Maloney from Uganda. Next to her is Minister Bua, and after him, the PS, Joseph Ngore, from the Ministry of Energy, Kenya. I would like to open the floor to questions from members of the press. Thank you. I will moderate, so if there are any questions.
I'm a Kenyan journalist, but reporting for the Xinhua Chinese media. I just want to know from the ministers, even our own PS, we are in a tricky dilemma as aspiring to go green. Have we reframed the policy, the legislative framework to ensure that none is going to be harmed?
I understand. It's actually, the question is asking is, can oil and gas fuel the transition to a green economy? And that is the basis of what we have been discussing today. You know, you're looking at oil destroying the environment. So how can we really achieve the green that we're talking about? And for the case of Uganda, as I had indicated before, that we want to use this resource, which we know is finite, which we know can be harmful to the environment. We want to use the revenue. We want to manage it in a manner that is sustainable. Issues of gas flaring are now barred by the law that we have put in place. There's nothing like gas flaring. And the way we are going to harness this resource, we want to add value. We're going to build a refinery. Now that refinery will process the oil into final products, which are going to meet our energy needs as a country and as a region. But above all, the revenues that are going to come out of this resource, we are plowing it in the green economy. We want to plow it into modernization of agriculture, which is sustainable. We are going to plow it into green energy like hydro to ensure that our energy mix, over 80%, is renewable energy. So we are using the revenues from here to develop the renewable energies in the country, and that is hydro, geothermal, solar, wind, biomass, biogas, so that what we are extracting from here, we are using the other hand to plow back and ensure that we develop the renewable energy sources which are sustainable, which will be able to last and grow the economy and develop our people, and at the same time protect the environment. You realize that the rural area, a lot of trees are cut down as source of fuel. But if we have electricity, all these renewable energies sent into the rural areas, the rural folk will now use these modern renewable energies, and by so doing, we will be preserving the trees. And once we have an expanse of forests and trees, those are going to result into good positive climate change, which will result in rainfall. Rainfall will ensure that we have rain water used for power generation throughout the year. And so the cycle of sustainability becomes a reality.
Thank you. I had, sorry.
Sorry. From Bloomberg News, I would like to ask Bloomberg, I would like to ask Mr. Njoroge and Sudan, have you arrived at a common policy as far as development of crude is concerned? You just mentioned that Uganda is going to put up a refinery. Any common policy as regards to that? And then, Madam Maloney, does it is taking quicker strides at developing it? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we are working together with Southern Sudan and Uganda to have a common approach to the development of the oil infrastructure, both in refined and in crude form. For example, we would want to jointly put up a crude oil pipeline from South Sudan to Lokcha, then it will branch to Hoima in Uganda, and finally terminate at Lamu, which means if there is excess crude which requires to be exported, it will be possible to pump that crude from both Uganda, Sudan, and Kenya and get it off for exportation. At the same time, for the refinery in Uganda, we are going to be an equity participant. And the main focus of the refinery in Uganda is really to satisfy the internal, or what I would want to call the landlocked market, like the one in Uganda, even the western parts of Kenya, and also Rwanda and Burundi. Those countries are fairly far away from the sea, and that refinery in Hoima is fairly centrally placed, and it can serve those. We are actually developing the crude, the refined oil products, petroleum, jointly between ourselves, Uganda, all the way up to Kigali. So there is that approach of joint development. We just returned from Rwanda, where we were holding a summit, and that summit is focused on joint approach to issues. And we launched what we are calling the single tourist visa, and also use of IDs and such like documents to move across the East African countries will start from January 2014. So the approach of what I would want to call common purpose or unity of purpose is very much prevalent within, and is being driven by the current leadership of the four countries. We call them the northern countries, that is Rwanda, Uganda, South Sudan, and Kenya.
Okay, following Engineer Njoroge has said, you would like to know why Uganda has delayed to commercialize the oil, and Kenya is already ahead of it. Well, Engineer Njoroge is here. I'm sure he should be able to comment at what level they are as a country in the commercialization process. But for Uganda as a country, our commercialization plan was we must add value to this oil, and therefore the process of setting up a refinery is ongoing. As you've heard, the East African partner states have been invited to participate into the development of this refinery. However, the oil companies that we have entered already in agreement with requested to have an early export route as an alternative destination for this crude, to which as a country we have accepted, and that is why the plans for having a leg from Hoima joining the Lapset corridor is undergoing. So it's not that we are sluggish, but we have to take caution. We've had to take caution to make sure that we do not repeat mistakes which other countries repeated. We are trying to develop this resource in the best way possible so that it can benefit all Ugandans, so that we can get maximum benefit from it by adding value and also promoting petrochemical industries in the country, meeting our energy needs as a country and the region, and so on and so forth. And also the other issue that I need to update you on is that what we have discovered so far is only 40% of the area. From 40% of the area, we've been able to confirm 3.5 billion barrels of crude oil in the ground. And out of that, based on the development plans that these companies, the international oil companies that we've licensed have come up, we may be able to extract about 1.7 billion barrels. So all these plans are ongoing based on what we have confirmed in place, what we expect to retrieve, how we want to add value to it, and what the revenues that are coming out of that are going to be applied to.
Thank you very much. I think
we came together to share knowledge and problem solutions or technologies that are prevalent in some countries think about adopting. Maybe we have just that Uganda doesn't have, and they've come together and agreed that, okay, you guys are having this development solution and we're thinking of adopting it on issues of...
Let me take this question, because as I was listening to the discussions, one of the things that has clearly come to mind, and I think that is why this initiative is important, is that, I mean, to really create a forum where we are able to compare notes and share our experiences. If I was listening to Uganda, and I saw a number that was put out in terms of access to electricity, which is about 15%. immediately what came to mind is where we are in terms of getting close to almost 80%, and what we've been able to do to get there and how we can share those experiences. As the Minister for Energy and Petroleum in Ghana, I can tell you right now that we probably can look back and say maybe the fast-track development that we took some years back, if we have to do it again, we probably would have gone a little cautiously than we did. And for example, we immediately realized that all of our institutions of state that had to be in a position to monitor, for example, the Environmental Protection Agency, the the Legal Attorney General Department, the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, the National Oil Company itself, all of that, they needed capacity. We realized immediately that even our educational institution, we had to revamp the Petroleum Engineering Department of KNUST. And those capacity things that we are doing, we are still working on those. And so, for example, if we are sitting down with our brothers and sisters, what we will say, for example, is that we need to make sure that these institutions have the capacity to be able to monitor and play their critical role before you start oil production. We had to come up and establish a petroleum commission, which is that we go through that we think we are able to share, as graciously decided to headquarters. It's very critical. We are dealing with countries, and it is going to really help us going forward. I think this is very important.
I think it's by being greedy. So I have groups that is, or she was there, that are some of the interns. She had a question for the PS.
Kenya's oil and gas sector, please.
Yeah, thank you, meeting. And we got comments from various stakeholders. We expect that in the next 6 months, that is by March, the National Assembly. So we are on the roadmap, we are on target to get.
I think she wanted to know, I think the issue that came up towards the end of our meeting was about young is rather constrained. And I think they wanted to know, and maybe each minister can answer this, more carbons and renewables.
That energy to be tapped responsibly so that it is directed to the right cause. And energy being one of the sectors which is very vibrant, with plenty of opportunities, it is a sector that really needs to tap into the energies of the youth. But these energies can be tapped in a way that they are productive. And so what needs to be done first is for these youth to gain the necessary knowledge and skills so that they are able to take advantage of the opportunities that arise in the energy sector. Now, getting this energy and skills will require that they are educated to a certain level and then deliberately move into areas of expertise, whether at an artisanal level or at a technical level or at a professional level. All those opportunities need to be provided to them. Now, as government, for the case of Uganda, we have now universal primary education, we have universal secondary education. This is to give the youth the basic education that they require. But now going into the energy sector, it means they must have added skills to be able to work on the technologies that present themselves in the sector. We've gone ahead and set up an institute for petroleum so that we can give them the basic skills that are required to be able to work in the value chain as we prepare for production. But we've also supported and sponsored some of them to go for professional courses so that they are able to get jobs at a higher level. As part of the agreements that we've signed with the oil companies, there is a requirement about 40% of their budget is to go for skills development, and that is training. So this in itself actually gives the youth an opportunity to acquire the necessary skills so that they can take advantage of the opportunities. But also in the laws, as we develop the resources in the energy sector, we provide for local content to make sure that as long as the skills exist in the country, the first priority should be given to the local people so that they can take on those jobs. Similarly, when it comes to supply of goods and services, again, there's a deliberate effort to give opportunity to the local people so that they take advantage of those. When it comes to partnerships at a company level, where they are going to invest into the sector, again, the laws that we have put in place, we've made it deliberate that at least where you have a partnership between the local company and a foreign company, at least 48% of the shares must be local. So this is in a way of trying to promote and support the local youth and local people to take full advantage of these opportunities that arise in the energy sector. And of course, back in the rural areas, as we try to expand and ensure that we have our people in the rural areas accessing energy, there are opportunities for small scale industries. Again, this is an area that presents itself for the youth that they can take advantage of and add value to the products in the rural areas, whether agriculture or dairy, in terms of value addition. It presents an opportunity for them to take advantage of it so that they can employ themselves in the sector and be employed within the energy sector. The opportunities are numerous. All we need to do is build the necessary skills so that we are able to compete favorably and support and be part and parcel of the development process in the country.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yes. Well, I think that with the bulk of oil and gas discoveries in the global south, especially in Africa, I say that it is Africa's maybe second or last chance to basically ensure that it's a blessing and not a curse. And that is why it is fundamentally important that, one, how we manage oil revenue is critical. Making sure we put in the laws and the regulations to ensure that the revenues will actually go to improve the lives of the youth and our people. Making sure that we set out the guidelines, the regulations that will protect our environment. That it will not be another story of a free place where the environment will be basically destroyed and the future generation will be hopeless. But more importantly, making sure we have strong local content and local participation provisions where we are ensuring that the things we are doing are adding value and that they are helping to create jobs and building capacity and the skills of our people so that there will be hope for the future.
I think I will add to what our minister from Uganda said, that education is the foundation of tapping of opportunities. And I just had a chat with one of the youth who says she is doing a master's degree in oil and gas, and I told her that we are very open to give her an opportunity even to do some attachment with us, because oil and gas is new in this country. And therefore, I would say that there is infinite opportunity for youth who would be interested in joining oil and gas, insofar as education is concerned, as the foundation for tapping of the opportunities. As far as the opportunities are concerned, we are aware that in Kenya government, we have reserved 30% of all procurement, those opportunities within all the government institutions and public institutions to be tapped by women and youth. And that itself, that registration itself of ensuring that, or that policy, so to say, is again an opportunity for the youth. And what the youth needs to do is to organize themselves into companies. I've just received some information that there are some banks that are very ready to support the youth and women in tapping those opportunities. So I think we have a framework, we have policies within the government that encourages youth participation in business. The education is, as you know, free, primary education. Secondary education is very much supported by the government. So there is an enabling environment for the youth to get involved in tapping these opportunities.
Let me thank, first of all, my colleague, so to be, Minister and Engineer Joseph Noroge, for participating in this and being very transparent and open and sharing their ideas with you. It has been very, very important for us to make this first start because our office, UNOSSE, is at the service of governments of the South. And they asked us to help them build their capacities, especially emerging countries, to manage oil and natural gas in a sustainable manner and a responsible manner. And what we've arrived at is an institution that is for this purpose. We really passionately believe that we do not need to make the mistakes of the past. I'm from Nigeria, so I think I know a little bit of something. When the journalist from the London Times asked those questions, I kind of cringed. But we do know something about those sorts of mistakes. And we really are encouraged by the southern countries' desire to learn from each other. And we believe this institution, when we launch it in Accra in March 2014, that will be on the start of a new and more vibrant and prosperous global South. I would like to take this opportunity to really thank the members of the press, because I know for the journalists based here in Nairobi, you have many, many other competing demands. And it means a lot to me personally that you would stay and you would want to hear about this story. It's a story that we're passionate about, but we look to you from this day forward to keep all of us honest and on task and on track and able to deliver on time. So thank you very much for your patience. We feel amply rewarded